Alright, so today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you is a Protoss versus Zerg. Now, I just loaded up this replay, and I noticed the Nexus skin for the very first time. I've not actually seen anyone run the classic Nexus skin just yet. I gotta say, I kinda like it. I think this is gonna be one of those acquired tastes. Because when I first saw it, I wasn't entirely sure, but it does look pretty neat in-game. Anyways, let's get started like we always do by introducing the players, because spawning here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, we're looking inside of the main base of the player who goes by the name of Tolsengard. Not entirely sure what that even is. I can guess though. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But he also goes by the name of Harstem. His opponent in the opposite corner, from Italy, the highest ranked StarCraft 2 player in the world right now on Aligalek. This man, I mean, I've talked about him many times. He's getting ridiculously good, and he certainly does not show any signs of slowing down. We have none other than Reynor. Alrighty, so this game was actually just sent to me by none other than Harstem himself. So he just sent me a message saying, I think you'll probably like this one. This was a practice game. That's, you know, the end of the quote. So I don't really know. When do we play him? Or when do you play him? In 30 minutes? Okay, so I'll cast it. All right. I guess that this was just a practice game, a custom between these two where they, you know, are just grinding game after game after game to make sure that they obviously are in tip-top shape, which is what a lot of the pro gamers like to do. I mean, obviously there's a lot of laddering because going up against a variety of strategies is for obvious reasons very, very helpful. But being able to, you know, get in dedicated practice as well for one specific matchup or maybe even one specific strategy that you're struggling against. Although I don't think either of these two players is going to be struggling against anything in particular. You know, it's nice to get some dedicated practice in and to, you know, play the same matchup over and over and over again. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Harstem, he streams a lot over at Twitch as well. He obviously posts YouTube videos and all that too. But one meme that, I don't really know exactly what the origins of this is, but one meme that he's got going on his channel is they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. I'm assuming most of you have seen this, like, it's a boomer video, I guess, at this point on YouTube, but there's a YouTube video out there with, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. I'm assuming some of you have seen that at the very least. Don't tell me I'm that old. Anyways, I know that that Harstem played that video on repeat for like, I don't know, like a 12-hour long stream, like constantly the same tune over and over and over again while playing like very high-level StarCraft. I don't really know exactly what it's all about either. Man, I can't stop looking at this Nexus skin. It is really neat. It is really nice. Anyways, so it looks like it is going to be that Twilight Council opener right here from Harstem. More than likely, this will be that Adept opener. Wouldn't be surprised. It's one of those build orders where, you know, you're basically forcing the Zerg units to be produced, which is already very, very nice. You don't even really need to deal that much damage, but obviously if you can shade around with the Adepts from base to base and you can pick up a couple workers here and there, most of the time, usually, as long as you can defend the counterattack, you're gonna come out ahead. And this is by far the most popular build order right now at the professional level. I'm assuming at the very least it is gonna be that, what's it called? The Glaives upgrade here coming up in just a little bit. I mean, we should be seeing it. Alright, well, we'll keep an eye out right here. Okay, there it starts. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that Twilight Council is what I was gonna say. Anyways, in the meantime, on the side of the Zerg player, nothing really out of the ordinary. Apparently a sticker was posted right there inside of his main base. I mean, this is the stop symbol, but I don't think Reynor is gonna stop macroing anytime soon. Like I said, this guy, I mean, he's been on absolute fire, defeating Serral now multiple times in grand finals. Yeah, he's looking ridiculously strong right now, and he certainly is getting better and better and better constantly. Now, obviously, this is a game submitted to me by Harstem, so it always makes me wonder, right? Is he gonna be submitting a win, or is he gonna be submitting a loss? Most of the time, whenever pro gamers submit a game to me, they will actually submit a, you know, a win, because it makes them look good. I'm curious to see what Harstem does in this particular game. Because truth be told, I mean, Harstem obviously fantastic player, but I mean, Reynor has just been on fire recently. And yeah, I feel like, you know, Reynor is certainly favored in this particular match right here. So anyways, he's got that, what we call the DRG response coming up right now. DRG was one of the few players who, or one of the first players rather, who started playing this style. So you go for the spine crawler over here, then you drone up until about 40 to 44, depending on how the early game goes. And then you go for a Roach Warren at about the 4-minute mark. And that way, after producing about 30 or so Zerglings, you can defend against this first wave of Adepts relatively easily, using the Queens, using the spine crawler, chasing the Shades with the Zerglings. However, he does manage to now get into a decent enough position over here at the third base. Picks up a couple of those worker kills so far. But the follow-up right now for Zerg is going to be Roaches, right? So the Queens, they should have a little bit of energy right there for Transfuse. The Adepts are being chased right now. Now, these are glaive Adepts. Yeah, I was going to say. If you fight those with a bunch of links, they're going to all pick them up very, very easily. And that's not really a trait you want to take. And look at this, right? In the meantime, right now at the worker count, even though this isn't necessarily dealing a ton of damage just yet, there's a lot of lost mining time. And Protoss actually takes an economical lead. Couple of Adepts right now inside of the main base too. Now, if you're a little bit lower up on the ladder, you're probably going to end up losing against this timing attack pretty much every single time. I don't think that Harstem is going to submit a game to me where, you know, Reynor dies to an Adept timing push. That would be kind of lame, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to transition out of this. There's already a Robo... Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. There's already a Robo Bay coming up as well on the side of the Protoss player. So 9 drones in total. That's a pretty reasonable amount, man. I mean... if there's one thing that all of the top-level Zerg players have in common, and this is much to the, you know, the dislike of the Terrans and Protoss out there, is that they're ridiculously good at defending, right? So the higher you go on the ladder, the better these guys become at defending stuff. So I think 9 drones, that's a very reasonable amount. That's certainly something that you can be rather happy with. So the Laravel's obviously very delayed as well. Third Nexus is coming up at a reasonable time, a little bit later than we ideally would like to see it, but this is all looking rather good. Now, would you look at that? Okay, so Harstem over here, he's actually... Oh, this is neat. Okay, so he's gonna go for the Prism Speed upgrade right now. So that's what this upgrade is right here in the Robo Bay. And he's actually started producing Disruptors. So I think what we're looking at right now is a Disruptor drop follow-up. We don't see a whole lot of that in tournaments right now, but maybe it's going to be something that, you know, Harstem, maybe he's been playing it a lot, actually, I don't know, but maybe this is something that Harstem has been practicing, and I would like to see how this plays out. So, since you force your opponent to go for Queens, Roaches, and Zerglings, right, really those are like the only units that Zerg really has in the early game, going for a Prism with Disruptor drop harass can deal a lot of damage. This has a ton of potential. Look how fast that bad boy is. Especially through one of these zones. If you micro this correctly, it can deal a ton of damage. Now, obviously, this is always a bit of a gamble. You don't know if Zerg decides to go for a Spire. It's not particularly popular right now in the current meta. But, yeah, if there was a Spire here, that could be an absolute disaster. Let's see. Disruptor drops, man. I like it. This is like continued mid-game harass, but it's also really good against Roach pushes, right? So here we go! How much damage is it going to be able to do? I mean, that's a reasonable amount of damage already. Gets a couple of Roaches, I believe, as well, right? Yeah, 2 Roaches. Maybe actually those were killed by the Adepts. I'm not entirely sure. I was looking at the drones there. I was looking at whether or not he was going to lose those Disruptors, but they're going to be just fine. Now, in this base, or on this map, rather, you can hang out in this little corner by these very, very old trees, apparently, that, I don't know. For some reason, they're shrouded in fog. Once again, nice little bit of drone harass. I like it. In the meantime, the Protoss army right now is going to move once again across the map. Now, is there an observer here? There's no observer. That really needs to be coming out here. Obviously, he's got no detection, right? And if you have no detection, you never really know exactly how far you can go onto the creep. I mean, you don't really want to be going on the creep ever. But I guess that little move out was just to scare the Zerg, yeah. I actually really like that move out too, right? So he moved to the edge of the creep and now he's going back home. This looks like a pointless fight. But it's forcing Zerg to make a bunch of stuff, right? And whenever you're forcing Zerg to make things that aren't drones, you're going to be a pretty happy Protoss player. Okay, once again, Disruptors inside of the main base. You don't even have to commit. No, just hang out. No, you don't even have to do this. Well, you can, I guess, kill maybe a couple of the larvae or something. You can just sort of hang out and force these drones to... Ooh, oh my god! Oof. I wasn't actually sure if they would get one shot right there by the Disruptors. At the same time, there's also a fight right now happening in the middle of the map. Colossi are going to be joining this map as well, or this game. I think an observer would be pretty much mandatory right now, right? Because I think that Harstem could like push a little bit more in this direction if it wasn't for like all of the creep here. Because if you move too far onto the creep, you can just get chased down by a bunch of Roaches. Not really a scenario that you want to be in. But I like this a lot, man. This is cool. once again, gets a couple of drones. This is now 29 drones in total. I may have missed a couple here and there, but this is 29 workers going down right now in total in this game so far. Now, I know there's going to be a couple of grumpy old Protoss players watching this. Like, there's still 78 drones for the Zerg. You kill 50 of them and they still have more than me. Yeah, well, that's the case, obviously, but this is still some phenomenal harassment. Look at the resources lost up to this point. You gotta always make sure you take efficient trades, and you can't really get more efficient than that. Woohoo! Alrighty. It turns into Goofy, or I turned into Goofy there. Is that Goofy, or is that Mickey Mouse? I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Anyhow, yeah, so an observer has joined right now, and I like this a lot. Extended thermal lens, probably also a little bit later than you would like to, but obviously, this is still like probably something that he's practicing right now, right? Maybe something that he's experimenting with. There is, by the way, a Dropper Lord morphed in as well, so maybe we're going to be seeing some bailing harass here from the Zerg player in just a bit. Okay, once again, man, those Disruptors are insane. Well, apparently now they're giving their life here for the Protoss army, but that has been absolutely phenomenal. Nice dodging here as well. Yeah, look at the resources lost. And obviously, Reynor hasn't done a perfect job here defending, but it's extremely difficult not to take damage from that adept harass, and then also, obviously, you know, the follow-up harassment with those Disruptors. Alright, well, this is starting to look a little bit less efficient, though, here for the Protoss player. Now, with Extended Thermal Lens finishing up, though, he's going to be able to make this army quite a bit better. There it is. These laser giraffes right now are going to be able to send those lasers from a much larger... Oh my god, that was cool too. He's actually blinking the Stalkers right now into the Banelings. They're sacrificing themselves for this Protoss force. That being said though, Reynor does still have a very scary army. He's being pushed off, or pulled rather, off creep quite a bit. Excellent micro right here by... Every time I glance down at the bottom of the screen, I see Tolson Guard. I'm like, no, it's Harstem. It's Harstem. Anyways, excellent micro so far here by the Dutch Protoss player. From the greatest country in the world. Although, I'm probably a little biased. Oh my god. These, like, suicidal Stalkers that just, like, blink into the Banelings. It's really cool. I really like the way that Harstem is playing this, man. This is neat. Yeah, he's going for some really cool moves in this matchup so far. And these are, like, a lot of things that we don't see too often. Like, we don't really see a lot of the Korean guys play something like this. Well, maybe I've missed something, but that could be, obviously. But, yeah. If Zerg is just attack moving, those Banelings are all gonna, like, trade extremely inefficiently. Well, that Stalker is just gonna... Well, still took out a Baneling. That's not too awful. Anyways, in the meantime, right? If we look at this big picture. 5th base is just now about to finish here for Zerg, but Protoss has already started up his 5th base as well, and he's secured a 4th. So while he's active out on the map, he's now able to transition towards a much bigger economy. And that's usually what a lot of Protoss players are struggling with in this matchup, right? They're not going to be able to get a 5th base up. Well, obviously, it's not guaranteed yet that Harstem is going to be able to keep all of those bases up and running. But I would say, like, one of the parts, or one of the hardest parts of doing this job has been, you know, has been completed. So he's got himself the Storm upgrade done here as well. What exactly is Reynor going to do? For the very first time in this game, there's actually some Colossus harass apparently happening too. But for the very first time in this game, we see him taking map control, and this is critical. Hive is starting up right now. Corruptors are going to be coming up as well. We see some Zergling harass over at the 4th base, and I think, yeah, that 5th base will indeed be cancelled. On this map, it's extremely difficult for Protoss to take a 5th base. Like, where are you going to go, right? This is really your only viable location. If there was, like, a base over here, I wonder if this map would be better. I've thought about that many times, actually. Obviously, this is something that Zerg players are very happy with, like Protoss being stuck to their own little quadrant, I suppose, of the map, not being able to expand. That nasty prism from earlier does finally get picked off right now, which I guess was the sole purpose of all of those Corruptors. So that's 8 Corruptors right now in total. Hive is coming up, though, so obviously he's going to be able to transition here towards a Greater Spire shortly as well. In the meantime, though, while we're waiting for that Greater Spire tech, we do see a gajillion Banelings coming up. This is one of the things that all the top-level Zerg players have been doing a lot recently. Yeah, it's very good. If you manage to get yourself a bunch of those Banelings out, there's not a whole lot that Protoss can do if they manage to connect, right? And that's kind of the tricky part. Storm, very, very good against it. Archon's very good against it as well, against Banelings, that is. Comes down to the Storm here and the micro of the Protoss player. The creep has been pushed back extremely well. Looks like a small hit squad, actually, with a Colossus and a couple Archons is now also moving in over here. That does mean that this army is mostly protected right now. Zerg units are coming from every single side. The High Templar. Ugh. Pretty much all get killed there before they can cast a Psionic Storm. This does now allow Harstem to pick up the 5th base. He's now getting himself his own 5th base up and running. So obviously that was a very expensive army to lose. Don't know if that was necessarily worth it, but at least it's not like it was absolutely terrible, right? So the Zerg players, they're very good at setting up surrounds and using that Zerg mobility to come in from every single angle. That's what Reynor managed to do just now as well. So if he can hold on to the 5th base, I like this position a lot. Now look at these bad boys. Yep, they're looking for a Colossus. I don't actually think he's gonna be morphing them into Brute Lords at all. It's so uncommon to see Colossus in this matchup right now, at least for me on the ladder. You don't really see it all too often. It's becoming more popular to go Stalker Colossus, but he's obviously just got the Corruptors, not to morph into Brutes or to go after Prisms. He's just got them to deal with the Colossi, which is the oldest trick in the book, to deal with Colossi. Big Baneling run by now in the meantime on the left-hand side of the map, while Protoss preoccupied right here in the center. Is he paying attention? Harstem is not. Ay. That's tons of probes going down in a very short amount of time. Baneling's now also rolling forward here in the front of this Protoss force. Yeah, these are not going to be able to get the best trades, though. Those Archons obviously phenomenal at soaking up all of those hits. Apparently a couple more Zealots want to also be charging to their graves, but at least those Banelings get cleaned up. Alrighty. Awesome back and forth so far, right? So I would certainly say that the early game went in favor of Harstem. He did a phenomenal job harassing that Zerg player, and he obviously managed to secure 4 bases pretty much completely unharmed, which was fantastic. Right now, though, we've arrived at the part in the game where I feel like Reynor is extremely strong. This is kind of like his bread and butter, right? Like, this is where he really shines. For a long time, we could critique his late game quite a bit, so he was extremely good in the mid game, which is... in the mid game, he was extremely good, and we would, always look out for his mid game Zergling and Baneling run-bys. His late game at the time wasn't as phenomenal. Right now, though, I mean, his mid game is still absolutely fantastic. I would say his late game is just as good. So we'll see. We'll see how this game is going to go right now. I love the way that Harstem is opening up here, but I'm starting to get a little bit worried at this point in the game, because this is just simply the point where Zerg is extremely scary. 8 Brute Lords are morphing in right now as well. So hey, I was right after all, guys. Apparently he does want to get himself those Corruptors morphed into the Brutes. Normally you don't want to go for that many Corruptors just to chase down, one Prism or something along those lines, but obviously having them out against the Colossi is still helpful. Right now, since only 1 Colossus remains, I think it's only 1. Yep. You don't really need that much anymore. Alright. 5th base, though, has been acquired. Now, keep in mind, in the upcoming multiplayer balance patch that Blizzard is planning on, we do see that Skytoss transitioning being a little bit easier. Now, I don't know exactly how impactful it's going to be at the pro level, which is, I guess, what they're trying to achieve right now. But it would be easier, at least for Protoss players, to transition towards, for example, those, especially Void Rays. I wonder if that would be a thing that Harstem would like to try out at this point. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to be viable, though, at this level of play. Because, like I said, as soon as you put down those Stargates, Zerg is going to engage. High Templar, though. Oh, my God. Loaded into the Prism. And they're actually chasing down those Brutes. Okay. All right. Well, I mean... except for these two. The others did a great job. 6th base now acquired here on the left-hand side of the map as well. There's engagements happening all over, man. This fight is going heavily in favor right now of the Zerg. I think that this base over here will probably end up going down. Looks like a lot of Zerglings are coming in for the counterattack against Archons and Zealots as well. And while they're doing a decent enough job, this army is trading absolutely phenomenal. Yep, and the Protoss will actually stand tall there as well. Now, the Nexus in the meantime, though, at the top section of the map has gone down. This hatchery will now also be cancelled. But obviously, nicely done here by Harstem. He managed to get himself another base up on the left-hand side. So he's going to be able to send those probes in that direction if he wants to. Now, I don't know actually where those probes all are. Oh my God, he's still chasing them down. This is so cool. I really, really like this. Man, he's making some cool moves here. I'm not going to lie. Like, win or loss, I really, really like the moves that Harstem is making here. Alright. Like, while this is all going on, right, we've obviously seen a lot of damage in the early game dealt by the Protoss player, but you can't really forget about the amount of damage right now that Reynor is doing as well. They're actually dead even when it comes to lost worker count. Okay. Once again, though, Harstem, always out on the map. It kind of reminds me of the way that Parting sometimes plays. Constantly out on the map, trying to get some damaging. Multiple hit squads moving around as well. Good dodging right here on those corrosive biles. Yep, and if you can force the Zerg player down that ramp, it might be viable to go all the way to that base. That said, the High Templar right now trying their very best to storm. At the same time, we once again have a Zealot run by over on the left-hand side of the map. Phenomenal multitasking here by both players. I think that this engagement is eventually going to go in favor of Zerg though, but all of those, actually I say that, yeah, all of those Ravages are running dangerously low. Zealots right now in the meantime are going on over to the third base of the Zerg player. They've already killed one base and they're looking to potentially kill another one. Alrighty, this base over here actually now also taking an awful lot of damage. Reynor has been reduced to a very small amount of army actually. He's only got 50 army supply right now. Now you can say the same for the Protoss player, but that's Protoss units, man. They are way, way scarier. Looks like a handful of Zerglings, though, are still roaming the map because Reynor has about a gajillion APM and he can somehow, some way pull that off. Multitasking here while dealing with all of the other bits of harassment, too. Still, the main clump of the Protoss force, even though not that much remains, is still pushing forward. He's now going for what used to be the fourth base here of the Zerg player. Newly acquired base once again right here over at both of the high yield gas. There's actually two of them coming up right now. Now reinforcing roaches and ravages though are available. I think it's time for Harstem to go home. You don't really want to overstay your welcome here. I think what he wants to do though is keep pushing, but this is very risky. You're fighting on creep at this point. There's no observer to clear it all out. As long as you take the high ground, maybe there's something you can do, but this Protoss force is now just being outnumbered. You want to go home, Harstem? I don't think you want to stay, man. Okay, once again, massive storm does land. Whew. Gets a couple more drones, gets a hatchery kill. That's nice. Small roach hit squad here on the left-hand side. I really want to compliment the way that, like, Reynor is doing this as well. Look at this stuff, man. Like, while he's under so much pressure over at the third base, he found APM to send Zerglings and also a bunch of roaches over here. Now, this time around, it didn't really pay off its dividends, I suppose, right? You didn't really get the kill on the Nexus, but just knowing you can commit 8 roaches here while you're under so much pressure on this section of the map is really, really, really difficult. It's so tempting to just group all of your units up at, you know, at that point in one big clump. All right, so Nexus over here. I think it was already killed, right? I don't think that one was reacquired. He's just cleaning up the base that was taken there earlier. Ooh. Small Zergling hit squad actually came in from the left-hand side. Hold up, let me back up. All right, yeah, so back to where those roaches were just now cleaned up. I think what happens here is that Reynor decides to grab a small hit squad of Zerglings to finish the job that those roaches started. Where are they? I think it's these bad boys. Yeah, there they go. So he's sending them right now on a move command towards the base, while this Protoss army here is busy cleaning up just a couple of additional drones. The Zerglings get the kill, and this is actually really critical, because at this point, right, there's like no mining anymore here for the Protoss player. There's very, very little income here for Protoss, so he needs another base. I mean, these minerals, there's 5 minerals remaining. That's actually empty. A Prism is moving out with 4 High Templar in it. Are we after Disruptor drops gonna now also see a bunch more High Templar drops? Oh, I love it. More players need to be doing this, man. I know it's hard, but I love it. It's so good. It's a couple drones here and there. A little bit of damage done here and there as well. Now, neither player has a lot of income at this point. Zerg is trying to expand towards multiple new locations as well on the right-hand side, but I think it comes down right now to this battle here. This battle is way more important. Vipers have been added into the mix as well. If you can abduct a couple of those big Protoss units, that would be very helpful. High Templar, though, still available. Big Storm, once again, softens up a lot of these Zerg units. Another Storm over there kills a bunch more of those Banelings as well. Another Storm, man. We do see the nice yank right there on that Colossus. Immortal in the back still remains as well. Stalkers. Oh, they get a blinding cloud on top of them. Looks like the Immortal is going to be yanked away as well. Additional Zealots will be warped in here, and I think that there might but just barely be enough. The Prism does fall, and that's actually a big loss as well here for the Protoss. Neither player really has a lot. Now, Harstem at this point ahead when it comes to the supply count, but I'm still a little bit concerned here for his income. So this base over here is so important. Now, while he's busy over here, though, Zerg right now, look at this, has acquired new bases. I think that this hatchery over here on the left-hand side of the map will go down. Actually, additional Zerglings. Now, once again, over at that newly acquired base. It's so important to keep that one up and running. Harstem does now know that there is a new high-yield base over at, well, this location here. One hero Zealot slicing and dicing away to the best of his abilities. Drones apparently pulled away from their mineral mining duties temporarily, too. The hatchery, or sorry, the Nexus will live. But if you look at this objectively right now, we have 2 mining bases for Zerg and 1 mining base for Protoss. Alrighty. Look at the workers lost. Absolutely ridiculous. Zerg has not been trading very efficiently at all, but they've been mining a lot more resources. So he doesn't really need to. Once again, oh man, I love that move. The Stalker Blink into the Banelings. It's good, man. Like, they can take like 6 Baneling hits to the face. Now, while this army has moved towards the right-hand side of the map, we do see the Zerglings once more moving in, because this is Reynor we're talking about, and this is what he always does. Backs up right now with the Zerglings. Looks like the High Templar will get killed. Only a handful of Protoss units right now remained. Oh no, I don't think that this blink over here was necessarily worth it. Still, the Zealots, though, they get a decent enough trade. Zerglings, in the meantime, get chased down as well on the left-hand side of the map. But, once again, there's still 2 mining bases. Reynor is holding on to these 2 bases for dear life, and so far he has managed. Obviously, 2 is bigger than 1, right? So as long as you get more income than your opponent, you should probably be able to produce more stuff as well, even if you take inefficient trades throughout this game. Alright, Zerg army once again moving out on the left. Couple of Zealots get morphed in actually over here at that Nexus point once more. Couple of Stalkers sadly do get misrallied. He's trying to get the kill right now on the Viper, but a big abduct will bring that Archon towards the Roaches and, well, a couple of leftover Zerglings, I suppose. Only a handful of Lings remain, but more and more of them spawn, and they will be able to wrap around all of these Protoss units. And just like that, in an absolute crazy game of Protoss versus Zerg, Reynor obtains the victory. Now, I do want to go ahead and compliment Harstem right here for this insane game. I love a lot of the moves that he's making. Plus, I mean, he submitted this game to me. He actually sent me a loss. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Not afraid to share, you know, his defeat. I really like it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.